Good afternoon, ladies and gents. It is the 16th of May, 2025, and today I just want 5 to 10 minutes of your time and warn you that this might be a little bit intense as we're going to be talking about the reasons why wars are inevitable. They can be temporarily paused but cannot be stopped. Because it will only be 10 minutes, I'll throw up one or two articles sort of on the screen in a couple of minutes, if that's all right. The reason I want to bring this up is because I do occasionally, or more than occasionally, jump onto other YouTube channels who cover different topics of conversation. And I also take time to read some of the comments and live chats that stream alongside the videos. And reading some of those comments, certainly live in those chats, there are things that some people come out with that on occasions has made me sort of think. Of course, it depends on the topic of conversation on the video, but in the most part, for me, it's definitely likely to be along the lines of war and conflict, either in full swing and or also, potentially going to kick off. And with that, certainly since the start of the Ukraine war back in 2022, the topic of a third world war is becoming much more common. I'm going to get this. Well, it's not a disclaimer. Let's just call it a disclaimer. I'm just going to get this bit out of the way quickly. One lesson has taken me years to accept and acknowledge, and that is that everybody in life is different. People have had different upbringings, and their personalities may be similar to their parents. And with that, they will inherit some of those traits from those parents. We have all had sort of different life experiences, different levels of knowledge and education. When having conversations with people, whether that's at work, in the street, in the pub, with your family, they're all likely to be of different ages, gender, race, and creed. But it's taken me years to get my head around some of this. So, for example, if I'm driving my car and I'm following a car for, let's say, 5 miles through a town, and the driver in front doesn't once use his or her indicator, then I think, what a fucking idiot. But then my mindset sort of quickly changes and I start saying to myself, what kind of person is this driver? It could be an 85-year-old who is losing those once obtained observation skills and now doesn't give a toss. It could be, I don't know, somebody that's sadly on their phone and just not paying attention to anything that's happening outside of the car. Or it could be a woman who's crying her eyes out after breaking up with their partner and just wants to get round to a mate's house for some support. There could be children in the back of the car distracting the driver who has completely forgotten that the vehicle was fitted with indicators. But then you have these people, the ones that are driving perfectly, not perfectly, but they're driving okay. They're in the car on their own. They may be in their 30s, no noisy kids in the back distracting their concentration, and doesn't have any relationship issues or any issues, come to think of it. But they just simply drive around with bubbles on their heads or blinkers on their faces. People that only, look in the rear view mirror to make sure they're looking all right, or people that have no spatial awareness. They're simply not observant and they're just not aware of too much of what's going on around them. Do you think they choose to be ignorant, non-observant motherfuckers who clearly go through life without a care in the world? Probably not. It's just the way they're built genetically, the way they have been brought up, maybe by the parents that may also drive cars in the same way. Maybe people that don't have much in the way of common sense and are simply not aware of the space around them, nor the people that fill those spaces. And guys, I've now got no idea what I'm talking about here, actually. Let me just resync for a second. Right. Why do people say the things they do in chats and comment sections on some of these social media platforms? It's because they're different. But when they do or say sort of stupid shit, then I struggle with accepting some of it. And it's taken me years to sort of work out some of this stuff, which of course is just life experience in itself. So the reason why I'm talking about this is because I'm not how can I put this? What I'm about to say is probably going to blow some people's minds. And what I mean by that is some people will simply not accept what I'm about to say. If I or other people on other channels sort of tell their viewers that either World War III is upon us or will soon be, they just won't accept it. But you will find that most of them uh, cannot sort of tell you why World War III isn't happening, and that is where this very, these this chat that we're having now, that's the whole reason why we're having it. Okay, I want to explain why. I've read in these chats and comments on other channels, people accusing others of scaremongering, or those that come out with, "Oh, here we go again with the old conspiracy theories," and yeah, this one makes me laugh. Where's your tinfoil hat? Meaning, obviously, it's a way of saying, you believe in conspiracy theories or you're just overly paranoid. But in reality, when talking about war and conflict, such comments are just defense mechanisms for those people. And of course, if anyone is trying to tell me that the Earth is flat, then I'm gonna be calling them something a little bit more than a conspiracy theorist. But moving on quickly, we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So I just wanted to sort of get that out of the way. And I know you're probably sat there thinking, what the hell has this got to do with anything? Well, I believe that it's highly likely, if it hasn't started already, that World War III is upon us, or soon will be. And the reason why I think this is not because of any conspiracy theories, but instead based on facts and common sense. So, that they're putting the hundreds of facts surrounding these conflicts at the moment to one side. There is one fact none of you or none of them are going to like and probably never consider. But once they've got their heads around it, they'll be able to sort of see, some light through the trees, or maybe not. You might not like this, but here we go. Unfortunately, there are some things in life humans will never ever change, and that is conflict. We should accept conflict, I don't know, as part of a natural order of things, as conflict simply is, and is necessary for all life. Conflict is the opposition of wills, principles, or forces. It is a part of our biology, our psychology, our daily lives, and the oldest war ever recorded in time, in terms of detailed accounts, is believed to be the Battle of Megiddo, or Megido or double Do, I'm not too sure, which took place around the 15th century BC, so 3,520 years or so ago. That was between the Egyptian forces and a Canaanite coalition. But let's go back even further than that. The Paleolithic era, also known as the Old Stone Age, spanned from approximately 3.3 million years ago. Let me just say that again, 3.3 million years ago to around 11,650 years ago. This period marks the beginning of human history and the development of stone tools by the hominins, and there is evidence of early violence dated back to them. So, Trump and his administration can possibly prolong wars, but they will never stop wars. We've already had two world wars in the space of 110 years, so a third world war, wouldn't be anything new. You may see the odd fight when, you're out drinking in a town or city. But let me just ask you this question. When did you personally actually have your last fight? How long did it last? And who won? I've asked many people this question, and not many people have actually had a full-blown fight with anyone. And many people will go through life never having one. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute that people, should get out there and have a fight just to better understand war and conflict. But there are people jumping onto these YouTube channels in the chats and comments who are either, I don't know, suffering from conflict of avoidance and or normality bias. And to be honest, this is probably the reason why those people accuse others of being conspiracy theorists or scaremongers. See, just having this conversation can cause conflict in itself, talking about people being different and others not agreeing with each other. So to even accept war, you have to kind of understand what it means. And until people understand what that means, they're never fully going to be in a position to comment or say that, there will not be another world war. In fact, forget about that. Just think about what I've just said in terms of conflicts. being a way of life. And wars, have been raging for 15,000 or more years. So the fact alone tells you, well, tells you and I, there's absolutely no way Trump and his merry men are going to be stopping wars, unless, of course, they've started them. What they can do is to prolong them from starting on their watch, that is, come up with some treaties, some ceasefires and other agreements, just to simply let the dust settle, I suppose, for a few years, hopefully enough years for the Trump administration to have done its bit, pinned some of those medals to their chest, being logged in the book of historic legacies, and then they move on. And then either they'll brew up again, that's the wars, and or other wars will ignite. There will definitely be a World War III, without a doubt. But when that will be is anyone's guess. And sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but there will also be fourth and fifth world wars as well. Only unlikely to be in our time. See, the world will keep spinning, guys. New life is coming into this world every single day, and people are passing over to the other side. It's life, and unfortunately, war and conflict is part of that. And whilst people either disagree or not happy with that, because honestly, no one should be happy with war and conflict, whilst people out there are calling others conspiracy theorists and scaremongers, they need to get a grip of the real world, shall we say, and just understand what it's all about and what it means. So those bits I just wanted to get out of the way. And just another thing, guys. Do you know that there are preppers out there that are normality bias? They would never admit it, but they are, because if they're going to be truthful to themselves, they would admit that they like the idea of prepping, but they don't actually believe that the shit will really sort of hit the fan. And, to be honest with you, there's nothing wrong with that. Providing they're helping other people out and offering, prepping advice and help as well as awareness, even if they don't believe it themselves, then that's good. That's fine, because they're still doing a good thing. Some of them will be more interested in the numbers. See, that's what social media is all about. It's the likes, the views, subscriptions, and clicks, and all of that rubbish. Those people are YouTubers, and some of them, as well as preppers. You might be thinking, well, what are you then? As in me. Personally, I've said this on a couple of videos. I don't give a shit about numbers. If I can or have helped just one family move in the right direction, then I've done my job. From this chat we're having now, I hope the viewers understand this. I'm not here to ruin your day and present doom and gloom. That shit's already happening. I'm here to hopefully just make some of you aware of the reality of what's going on and how those situations may affect you and your family. So whether that be how to prepare for a power cut for a week, or what to do if there's no water coming out of the taps, and all the panic buyers have ruined your day by emptying the shelves, or some awareness on, what an actual ballistic missile attack would look like on a counterforce or countervalue target near your home. Just quickly, whilst we're on the subject of attacks, I was hearing or reading about this yesterday. Even let me just bring this up because anyway, this just quick sidetrack, but I just want to put this in here, and I'm sure. Listen, guys, if you're following some of these prepping channels, then you'll be aware of this. I'm going to zoom in. I'm just going to spend probably 60 seconds on this, if that. Now, Gallagher. Gallagher is an insurance company, so it's an insurance broker. Let me just read it out to you. You can read it yourself, but an insurance broker has developed a solution to address the issue of airlines being grounded in the event of a nuclear detonation, a common exclusion in traditional aviation policies. Their new market-wide solution are designed to provide a bridge of insurance cover aims to enable airlines to continue flying even after a tactical nuclear explosion. This solution involves a group of insurers meeting quickly after a nuclear event to assess risk and determine where flights can safely resume, potentially avoiding the 48-hour pause commonly allowed. Right, so basically what they're saying is, they're going to change their policies. So rather than grounding all of the flights around the world for 48 hours, some of them, depending on where that detonation has taken place, flights can carry on. People can carry on going on holiday or going home. Or anyway, what I'm trying to say here is Gallagher's new aviation insurance model enables limited flight operations after a nuclear strike with country by country risk assessments. The policy offers $1 billion in war risk coverage per aircraft. Right, what I'm trying to say is, let me just say this quickly. There's a prepper out there. I'm not going to say who it is, that said on one of his videos a couple of years ago that he believes that the mention of and the use of nuclear weapons will become normalized, as he felt that tactical nukes will, become commonplace in warfare in the near future. Well, you read this on the screen, airline sort of insurance policies to now cover flights operating after the detonation of a nuclear missile. And here it is. It's being normalized. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, move on. As I'd said 5 to 10 minutes. So as we sort of finish off, when I was in the forces, I never actually saw any active service as I was discharged due to injuries. But the whole purpose of me joining the Royal Marines was to serve for Queen and country. I wanted to get into the war zone, and no matter where it was in the world, and I didn't care about the politics. I'd signed up and it was my responsibility to serve. However, although professional soldiers are trained to fight in combat, you're never going to be fully prepared for what war actually means. See, up until the point the Ukraine war started, I had my interpretation of war. One of the lads I used to train with, his dad was an officer in the armed forces, and whilst we were training, his dad was serving in the Iraq war, where we were nearly deployed there. And his father sent in a couple of photos on his tour to his son in our barracks, and they were pictures of dead soldiers in the desert. One of the corpses had his or its leg blown off, and the leg was kind of put behind the corpse, behind the corpse's back to prop up the body so they could just get a better picture or take a better picture. I also heard stories from other sort of patrollers or sort of people patrolling in Afghanistan and patrolling through certain villages where Western soldiers' body parts were pegged to washing lines. Arms and legs still with remnant camouflage fatigues on, so that any sort of American or British soldiers patrolling through those villages would receive a wake-up call. And they're just not preparing you for that in any form of training. And although you see the pictures like that or hear the stories, you still think you're going to be okay and you're prepared based on and relying on your training at the time. The reason why I'm talking about this, guys, is because since the Ukraine war started, I've been following a number of Ukraine and Russian Telegram channels on an app where these guys they're publishing video footage from the battlefield in Ukraine. I'm not going to lie. The body being propped up, with its decapitated leg in the desert, was child's play compared to this. But this is as close as you're going to be getting to real war. And you might be thinking, what a sick fuck. But I watch these videos for two reasons, guys. So that I fully understand what war is really about without actually being in the war itself, but understanding exactly what's going on the battlefields, understand the seriousness of what's happening, and respect what professional and experienced people say when they're talking about war combat or conflict, which in turn allows me to better prepare, but also to kind of desensitize, as it were, if that makes sense. Actually, if none of this is making sense, guys, then just send me off to the funny farm, because this is not the kind of conversation you're going to be having with 85% of the population out there, who won't even expect, they don't even expect the fact that the wars are either going on, and wars that could affect them and their families. So if you ever want to notch it up a level, just pull out your phone, start showing them some of these videos, and unfortunately, that can literally flip somebody upside down, and you'll probably they'll never talk to you again. See, most humans would rather avoid conflict, run away from a fight, not talk about wars, and try their utmost to avoid anything that might I don't know, even start to affect one's mental health, well-being, and their conflict-free lives. So, however, they can find it, within themselves to sort of still jump onto and listen to some of these prepping channels. And I don't understand why. If your mindset is not to even acknowledge that this stuff's happening, then why bother getting onto these channels? And then also telling everybody in the chats that, or the comments that, the person that is hosting the video is talking a load of shit. When I watch these videos, and when I say these videos, these are the Telegram videos from the Russian, no, the Ukrainian battlefield. When I watch these videos, I'm still trying to get my head around how human beings can carry out such high levels of sheer brutality on other human beings. How the total disregard to human life in general. When you've got military generals sending thousands of soldiers into battle, knowing full well many of them aren't even coming back. But of course, we are talking about war, and that is it. I'm saying that, guys, this is what I'm saying, ladies and gents. We are talking about war. If you've never had a fight in your life, for example, or been hurt by somebody else's actions or experienced full-blown conflict, then you're never really going to understand and accept war being a real thing. Even if you've read, I don't know, read about the wars in newspapers or books, or listened to some war stories, or even studied, the subject in further education, war and conflict is brutal, it's barbaric, and it's horrific, and should not be wished upon anybody. But it's the cycle of life. The cycle of life permits it as a way of life, because conflict can actually be good and bad. But it has to be, guys. That's it, really. We've listen. We've all been consumed so much, yeah, by all this fucking all this this BS. So I'm trying not to swear. I'm sorry, listen, guys. I have got to apologise as well, because I do swear on some of these, and I know it's some of them, some of you might not like it, but it's hard to kind of get some of these messages across without the odd swear word sort of dropping into the into the mix. But we have been consumed, let's just call it BS online, whether that be websites or social media platforms, and billions of people around the world, they're now locked into their phones. After a few years of, watching whatever this stuff is that they're watching, it's going to eventually send them, if not already, send them down the wrong path. People are failing to understand reality. They have no idea, nor interest in history. And as a result of that, societies around the world have become weak. I don't know about the rest of the world. I'm just guessing it, because I'm talking about the UK. The last generations, the last two generations, they're a weak generation. They're both weak generations now. That's not their fault. It's just the way society has forced all of this BS online onto them. The human race is becoming weaker every day, in my view. And the further away from reality they drift, the harder it's going to be to highlight, and in most cases, try to convince people that there's some pretty bad shit happening out there. But millions of people choose to turn a blind eye or ignore it because, of course, they don't want to unbalance their virtual worlds of reality. That's actually quite an intense chat there, guys, or can be for some of them, some people. But I appreciate you listening and your valuable time, because it is important. I feel that people, when I say people, I'm not talking about you guys, just people in general that I talk to. And I don't walk around making an effort to have these conversations, because, quite frankly, no one wants to talk about it. Again, you don't want to be forcing this information onto anyone, but when you do manage to get parts of a conversation across, or views, comments, or opinions, certainly when you hear theirs, they've just got no idea. Absolutely no idea. They talk about what they read on the front page of the newspapers, or what they read in social media, or what their best mates just told them down the pub, and it's all bollocks. It's just no idea about what's going on, really. So they're all quick to talk about the war, but they don't even know what it's about. If I could get some of these videos out to them of the battlefield, that would be it. That's enough. So anyway, guys, listen, just get yourselves military fit and infantry aware. keep an ear to the ground and just get yourselves prepared.